What's up, farming family? How y'all doing today? Today, we have a top 10 paddle video. If I was to go to a tournament, these are the top 10 paddles that I would take based off of how good they feel to me. And these are the ones I also recommend to a lot of people as well, like 99% of the time. But yeah, let's get into this video. I've got codes for most of these companies. That'll be down in the description. Also, I'm working on a new series with Hometown Pickleball. It's called Pickleball Paddle Pairing. Episode 1 will be out the same day or exact same time this is released. So if you want to check it out, it'll also be over on this channel. I'll have, it posted up in the corner and I'll have it down in the comment section. Basically, there's a contestant. We're going to try to pair them with a paddle. They'll choose whose paddle they like at the end after a week and a half of trying it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We think you guys are going to enjoy it. And if you do enjoy it, please comment and let us know. The feedback helps, or if you don't like it or think we should change something, slap that down there too. I do not care about positive, negative feedback. I want to hear it regardless. But yeah, let's get into this review. I'm sure you're tired of hearing me run my mouth. Hope y'all are doing good. Number 10 on this list is the Hudef Mage Pro. Okay, I am in a weird position with this. I was jumping up and down between this and several other paddles, but I have been popping between this and all the paddles that I'm testing randomly. And when I play with it, everyone talks about how crazy good my speed ups and my drives are with this paddle. Sometimes you just find a paddle that fits you and you play with it really good, and it might not fit other people's play styles, but it fits yours to a point to where it improves, your skill level, or you feel like you're playing at a more confident level. That's why I chose the Hudef Mage as number 10, even though there are other options that I could also put at number 10 with this paddle. This paddle just felt like it was an extension of my body when I was using it. And it's $100, super budget friendly. So yeah, number 10, definitely the Hudef Mage Pro. When it comes to my number 9 paddle, it is the Neonic Flow 16mm. Overall, this is a really controllable hybrid shaped paddle. It has a really low swing weight compared to other hybrid shapes. Well, not really low, but its numbers are definitely lower than other hybrid shapes. I like the way it's built. It feels really swingable and maneuverable through the air, and I feel like it's easier to maneuver than the regular hybrid shapes that other people are always using and copying. This is their own design. It is a crazy good paddle. My buddy Brad's using it right now, and it is in my top 10. He don't know this, but whenever I let him have it to use for tournaments and stuff, it was eating me up, because at the time I was really contemplating on using that as my main paddle, because it is such a good paddle. It's so controllable, easy to counter and block stuff with, and you're not having to worry about it launching out. It's just an overall all-around paddle. And if you're looking for a hybrid shape that's really maneuverable, I feel like this is like the perfect one for that. For number 8, you guys are going to realize that this has taken a crazy turn in terms of the top 10. Number 8 would be the Vatic Prism Flash 16mm. With the way that pickleball is going right now, everything's becoming more powerful. I feel like the control aspect of it is kind of fading out, especially when you're going to a paddle that is pure control. Now, this paddle is still easily recommendable to a person that is wanting a more control-oriented paddle, but right now everybody is under the frenzy of wanting power paddles. So I'm putting this at number 8 strictly for that reason, because the market right now is pushing towards power and not necessarily control. Still a crazy good paddle, still really good budget friendly, and if it's your first paddle that you're getting after the Walmart paddle, I would definitely recommend the Vatic Prism Flash for sure. When it comes to number 7, it's the Groovin' Movin' 16S. Okay, this is a wide body paddle. As you noticed, I've got a decent amount of wide body paddles in this review, 16mm mostly, but okay, this is what I like about it, right? This is the most controllable out of the 4 main ones that people compare. You got the Spartus Apollo, the R2 Pulsar FX, and you got the Volair Mach 2 Forza. I feel like this is the softest, this is the most control oriented out of all of them. So if you're wanting a really control oriented wide body, this one will be right down your alley, to be honest. For number 6, okay, if you asked me 9 months ago if this company's paddle was going to be on any of my top 10 lists going forward, I probably would have said you were crazy and I wasn't going to do it. So, this is the paddle that's hitting number 6. the PaddleTech Bantam alw-c 12.7 millimeter. This paddle has everything. Well, almost everything. I'll get to that in a second. It's got pop for the shape that it is. It's got crazy power, like ridiculous power, ridiculous pop, good enough spin to do everything you want to do. The one thing you are going to have to struggle with is the control aspect of this bad boy. This thing is hard to control, but I feel that if you're going to commit to one paddle and stay with one paddle and not switch back and forth to 16 millimeters or 14 millimeters, this is one of the ones to do it. And if you master it, this paddle will bump up your skill level. This isn't going to be a paddle that anyone can control, but if you can't control it, it is going to help out your game a lot. I had so much fun playing with this paddle. I'm ready for the elongated handle version. I'm tired of waiting. When it comes to number 5, gotta go with the Core Shapeshifter. It's an overall great hybrid shaped paddle. I feel like when you swing, you're getting a decent amount of plow through on it. It's got enough power. The pop's kind of average, but overall, a great paddle. I feel like the texture on the face puts a lot of spin on the paddle, and it looks super clean. All we got to do is get Matt from Cores to slap on an orange edge guard, the same color as the logo on there, and that is going to look even cleaner, dude. That is going to look so sick. But yeah, it's got to be in my top 5. I always catch myself pulling it out and playing with it and recommending it to people. Such a good paddle overall. Here's another one from the company. It's the PaddleTech TKO-c Christian Alshon 12.7 millimeters. If you notice, I'm not mentioning a 14.3. Did not really like them. I am a big fan of this paddle. If you like the PaddleTech alw-c paddle, but you want something with a little more head heaviness and more plow through, which is ridiculous in its own because the alw-c paddle had plenty of power. This is the one. This paddle launches the ball. I was playing in a tournament this past weekend with it, and I hit a drive from the baseline, and it went to the player so quick that it hit him right between the legs. This paddle has so much power and so much pop, and it's just like the alw-c paddle. If you can hone it in and get used to it, there are a lot of positives to this paddle. Just overall, PaddleTech has definitely umped it up a lot since last year's paddles, because last year's paddles I weren't impressed with, and these though, top of the line for sure. When it comes to number 3, gotta go with a Spartus Apollo. Okay, when you're mentioning the big 4 like I just talked about a second ago, I feel like the Spartus Apollo has the most pop amongst the big 4 wide body paddles. If you're wanting something to help with speed ups when it comes to wide body, and these 4 are the ones you know you're considering, the Spartus Apollo is going to be the one with the pop for you. But where it really reigns in, just like every other wide body, and where it's really good at, is the swing weight. The swing weights of these wide bodies are sexy. Like, woo! When you test them out and you see them in the low 100s, you're like, okay, I'm going to be able to win hand battles with this. And if I can't, it's not me being late on the ball, it's me being awful hitting the ball, which is generally the case. But now when I use wide body paddles, I can't be like, man, I was behind it because of the swing weight. Nope. You are always going to be able to get your paddle around on it, as long as you're not playing against like some Gen 3 or something like that. But overall, this is the poppiest of the big 4. It's got maneuverable, swingability, and it's got a unique look due to the Kevlar on the face. So that's why this is number 3 on the list. When it comes to number 2, most of you guys can already guess what it is. It's the Volair Mach 2 Forza 16 millimeter. Right now, I'm digging and loving some wide body paddles. I love the maneuverability. I love the amount of spin, because it feels like these wide body paddles are getting more spin than all these other paddles. I'm not sure if it's just how easy you are to be able to whip it through the air or what it is, but I'm loving everything about these wide body paddles. When it comes to control, I feel like this one is literally the second most controllable out of all the wide body paddles. I'd put the Grooven 16S as the most controllable, then this, then the R2 Pulsar FX, and then the Spartus Apollo as the least controllable out of those 4. So if you're wanting a really controllable, very spinny paddle, this is it, and that is why it's number 2 on my list right now. Alright, number 1, y'all already know if you've watched the review, it's the Rhombus R2 Pulsar FX. I feel like this is the most powerful out of the big 4 in terms of wide body paddles. And I say big 4 because these are the 4 that everybody always, puts against each other and always wants suggestions on which one would be better for each player. So the R2 Pulsar FX, I feel like it is not as controllable as the Volair and the Groovin paddle, but it has enough control that I will use this as my main paddle due to the amount of power that I'm getting off of it. When I do overheads and drives, it is closer to the hybrid shaped paddles in terms of power versus the other wide body paddles. I couldn't think of another paddle that I would really want as number one compared to this paddle. I thought of myself, hey, if I went to like a PPA tournament, what would I pull out? This was it, like 10 out of 10 times. Such a good paddle. Dong and Rhombus know exactly what they were doing when they made this paddle. It's like they made it for me, to be honest. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this top 10 video. This one was a lot tougher to make than the last one. There's so many more paddles. It took me literally like 4 times as long to sit there and think which ones would I take to tournaments. These are the ones I came up with. If you have a top 10, leave them down below. I am very curious about that because I'm sure y'all's top 10 is going to be way different than mine. But yeah, until next time, stay safe, have a good day, drink plenty of water. Peace, y'all.